The transmission cut off mid-scream. What was left behind wasn't a distress call. It was a warning, distorted audio, glitching visuals, and 7 minutes of static soaked in blood. Earth received the signal in silence. Analysts examined it. Diplomats drafted statements. Military commanders held meetings. None of it mattered. Some things don't require a debate. Vanguard was already en route before the last autopsy report even finished rendering. No insignia, no chain of command, just a single line in a dark file buried under black-barred clearance levels. Deployed. Asset Vanguard. Termination protocol approved. The research site had once been a thriving outpost. A cold, pristine world turned haven for humanity's finest minds. Now it was a frozen morgue. Steel walls, scorched from plasma discharges. Doors sealed shut by melted locking systems. Human remains that didn't die from wounds, but precision. Every kill was surgical. Efficient. Clean. The kind of clean that came from something trained to erase, not conquer. Vanguard moved through the ruins like a phantom. His armor drank in the snowfall, silenced his steps. HUD flickered with biometric echoes. Heartbeats terminated within seconds of each other. One by one. No panic. No chance to run. He knelt by a shattered console, fingertips tapping over the frozen data core. Power routed. The last visual log booted. A single image. A tall, spindly figure with reflective skin, standing over a fallen human. No face. Just a shimmer of motion and light. The file name auto-translated. Silence arrives. The silence. Not a race. A faction. Assassins from deep space, hired by alien empires to do what diplomats and armies could not. Erase. Why the team was targeted didn't matter now. Only that they were human. And that made it personal. Vanguard didn't ask for orders. He hadn't followed any in years. His mission was in the debris. His purpose lay in the silence. The planet's cold was bone deep, but he didn't notice. His sensors filtered heat blooms in the wreckage. Traces of energy footprints, residual trails not native to human equipment. Motionless bodies, but not lifeless terrain. He followed faint electromagnetic shadows into the snowfields beyond the compound. Footsteps not walking, gliding. Too light for the size of the being. Thermal resonance minimal. Cloaking was probable, but not perfect. Nothing was perfect. He reached the perimeter fence, torn open, not breached. The gate's security override was accessed wirelessly. Professional. Quiet. Not just infiltration. Invitation. They wanted no one to know they'd ever been there. Vanguard crouched beside a snowdrift. His gloved hand brushed against a shard of crystallized blood. Not human. A pale, amber hue clinging to a broken edge of ceramic plating. Alien armor, thin and sharp. Part of a carapace, likely cracked in a scuffle. Someone fought back. He found the rest of the body 10 meters out, buried under a drift. A technician. Her hands were burned from overloading a power conduit. Probably tried to fry the internal systems. Failed, but not before damaging one of them. Vanguard took the shard, embedded it into his forearm scanner. Composition readouts confirmed hybrid polymer, Xerian origin. Rare, expensive, lethal. The silence didn't come cheap. He stood, gaze sweeping the distant ridgelines. His map populated with possibilities. They came from orbit. Landed low, evacuated high. Their extraction vector was smart. No ships found on radar. Likely camouflaged. Likely still here. He knew the type. Contractors. Cold killers. Never waste effort. So why slaughter an unarmed science crew? Unless they weren't unarmed after all. He opened the data core fully. Deep folders unlocked under the encryption of a deceased geneticist. One phrase repeated. Quantum resonance destabilization. A theory. No, a breakthrough. Faster than light tunneling. Miniaturized. Directed. A weapon that could fold space and control bursts. The kind of weapon a dying alliance might pay anything to suppress. Vanguard closed the file. His path was clear. No orders. No oversight. Just a mission and a target that didn't know what humanity truly was. Not yet. Vanguard moved without hesitation, following the faint energy trail left by the assassins. It wound through frost-bitten canyons and across barren plateaus, always just cold enough, just faint enough to suggest intention. The silence wanted to vanish, but they underestimated human persistence. He studied every deviation, each electromagnetic anomaly, each broken snowdrift with microscopic drag patterns, evidence of cloaked movement. They moved in triads, he estimated. Standard formation for hive contract units. Efficiency over emotion. No wasted steps. No second-guessing. Just kill, clean, disappear. He admired that, but admiration didn't stop bullets. At a ridge overlooking a narrow pass, he stopped. A high-frequency ripple broke the stillness, inaudible to most, but Vanguard's neural implants caught it. A psionic pulse, short-range, likely a scout calling home. Sloppy, maybe damaged, maybe afraid. He followed. The ambush came fast. They weren't expecting someone who could see them. A shimmer. A flash. Plasma bolt screamed past his helmet. Vanguard rolled, Drew fired. The round exploded into the snow, coating the hillside with fine red mist. One down. Another flickered into view mid-jump. Too fast. Too close. Vanguard let the kinetic impact throw him back, absorbed it with his armor's reactive gel, and countered mid-fall. Blade out. Serrated tungsten. Straight through the soft gap behind its shoulder blade. Clean, deep twist. Disconnect. Silence. The third tried to run. Mistake. Vanguard locked onto the fleeing heat signature, kneeled, and launched a microdrone with a poisoned ceramic needle. It struck the base of the thing's neck. The creature staggered, froze, and collapsed without a sound. 3 in under 20 seconds. Vanguard's breathing didn't change. He stripped their corpses, taking components. Their cloaking rigs were fused to neural sync nodes, effective but fragile. He wired 2 of them into his wrist console, splicing alien code with his own stealth suite. Cloak upgraded. Brief, unstable, but good enough. His weapon got an enhancement, too. Plasma modulation coil from the scout's rifle, adapted to fit his barrel. It meant risk of overload, but it also meant he could punch through their energy barriers if they had any left. Every encounter taught him something. Every fight gave him an edge. They were faster, smarter in packs, but they were built to face civilizations with rules, chains of command, procedures. They weren't built for him. No team, no fallback, no hesitation. He picked up the trail again, now bolstered by fresh clues. Crushed moss spores on a rock face, a spike in background psionic activity. They weren't just running. They were regrouping. Vanguard checked his remaining resources. 2 drones, 1 EMP charge, limited med gel, and a cracked rib. Not ideal, but it would have to do. He remembered a line from his training, buried under years of silence. Asterisk, a soldier follows orders. An operator finishes missions. He never forgot that. Another ridge. Another decision. His route split, left into a dense ice forest, right toward rising terrain. He chose the latter. High ground meant visibility, meant they might be waiting, meant he could get ahead. As he climbed, the wind picked up, carrying with it whispers, not wind, not hallucination. Psionic probes. The silence were searching, too. He locked down his mental signature using a biofeedback loop. Let them search. Let them look into the void. All they'd find was the echo of what was coming for them. At the summit, he crouched. Below, nestled between glacial ridges, sat a temporary staging ground, clearly alien. Obsidian tone structures, hexagonal walls, pulsing cores. Not permanent, but built for coordination. A base. A command point. He watched figures move in tight formation. No leaders, no spoken words. Pure synchrony. Machine-level discipline. Except one. Taller, marked with thin blue luminescent scars. Not just a commander. A node. A link to the broader network. Maybe even the one who gave a kill order. Vanguard zoomed in. Observed. Memorized layout. Counted targets. 12 active. 6 cloaked but traceable. 2 operating aerial recon. Floating drones scanning for him. He tapped into the scout's recovered beacon frequency. Masked his signal. Let the drones pass overhead without alarm. He had their rhythm now. Their blind spots. Their confidence. He had everything he needed. He backed away, slipped into the snow shadows. Time to plan. Time to strike. Vanguard moved before the sun rose again. The alien camp's patterns were locked in his mind. Cycles of patrol, energy shifts, guard rotations. They were precise, almost beautiful in their efficiency. But no system was flawless. Every rhythm had its breath, and he was going to choke it. He rigged the ridgeline first. Directional EMPs buried under compacted snow. A failsafe to shatter their cloaks and fry their short-range comms. Then came the scatter mines, homemade from repurposed plasma cores and proximity fuses. Crude, but effective. He didn't need elegance. He needed impact. By the time the first scout stepped into the upper pass, the trap was already closing. One spark, and the cloak collapsed. The alien barely had time to react before shrapnel tore through its frame. The base didn't panic. It mobilized. Figures poured out in silence, dispersing into formation. Fluid, synchronized, lethal. Vanguard was already moving downhill, low and fast. He flanked the perimeter, deployed a drone to his left, and sent it on a zigzag path through the camp, dragging their sensors with it. The bait worked. 3 broke formation to pursue. He hit them with a detonator buried under a thermal decoy. The explosion shook the mountain wall. Ice cracked and began to fall. Controlled chaos. That was the point. As debris tumbled into the camp, visibility dropped. The aliens tried to reorient. Vanguard entered from the side and dropped the first with a plasma round through the spine. He didn't wait to confirm, moved to the next. His blade found a gap, and he drove it in without hesitation. The rest started to adapt. Their neural link was re-establishing fast. They began moving in tandem, triangulating his heat signature. He cut his cloak, dropped to the ground, and pulled his emergency shield emitter, an old prototype barely meant to last 10 seconds. It gave him 12. He sprinted through the chaos, marking targets. 2 were drawing power from a central node, an uplink point. He lobbed his last charge into the base of it and detonated. A shockwave rolled out, knocking several to their knees. Their psionic link fractured. Vanguard felt the psychic pressure ease. That gave him seconds. He threw himself into the thick of them, not from a place of fury, but precision. Blade and rifle worked in rhythm. Every movement calculated. Every strike deliberate. An arm severed. A joint shattered. A throat punctured. One tried to grab him with an electric tether. He redirected it with a mirrored plate from earlier salvage, sending the charge straight back. It collapsed in a twitching heap. They weren't used to close quarters. Not like this. They were used to fighting coordinated armies, not one-man storms. Still, it wasn't clean. One got a hit, blade through his side, slicing under the armor plate. Pain stabbed like fire, but he kept moving. Pain was noise. It could be silenced. He ducked, rolled, caught another's wrist, and snapped it backward with a sickening crunch. The rifle fell. He caught it, used it. Alien rounds tore through another trio before it overheated. He dropped it, switching back to his blade. Only a few remained. The tall one stepped forward, the marked node, the coordinator. It didn't run. It studied him, head tilting in that inhuman way, almost curious. Vanguard advanced, but struck first. Psionic force slammed into him, threw him back against the slope. Snow and ice rained down. His lungs seized. Vision blurred. The alien stepped closer, projecting something, images, feelings. Not language. Intent. Vanguard saw flashes. Of Earth, of burning cities, of fleets shattered. Not threats. Warnings. Please. But he didn't pause. Not because he didn't understand, but because understanding wasn't the same as forgiveness. He raised his rifle. The alien didn't move. It watched him as if it already knew what came next. He fired once. The node dropped. Silence returned. Steam rose from the wreckage. Blood and ash settled into the snow. The camp was gone. The links severed. Whatever network they belonged to would feel the loss. He checked his vitals. Internal bleeding. 2 broken ribs. 1 arm near useless. Didn't matter. He limped to the uplink node. Its outer shell still pulsed weakly. He jammed in the recovered data spike from the research site. The device responded. a backup fragment of the quantum resonance project uploaded into his system. Fully intact. They hadn't erased it. They'd only delayed it. He backed away as the node sparked, overloaded, and died. The message had been delivered, not through words, but through action. They wanted silence. Humanity answered with fire. Vanguard didn't wait for extraction. He didn't call on the strike team waiting on standby in low orbit. Protocol demanded debrief. Superiors would expect footage, telemetry, a full after-action report. He sent nothing. He left no trace. The uplink core fragment pulsed in his suit's internal buffer, terabytes of breakthrough data, compressed into encrypted crystal. The kind of knowledge people killed for. The kind of discovery that could bend the trajectory of entire species. And they had tried to bury it in ice and blood. He climbed out of the crater, breath shallow, every step grinding bone against metal. But the pain anchored him, made the world real. He liked real. There was truth in pain, a clarity words couldn't match. Above, the stars cut clean paths through the atmosphere. A calm ping flickered across his visor. Earth Command requesting confirmation of mission status. He ignored it. He walked west, toward the distant ridges where his drop pod had scorched a path days before. The planet was dead quiet now. No drones, no scouts, no whispers in the static. The silence was gone. Not wiped out, not extinct, but broken, bruised. They'd lost something they couldn't replace. Not just operatives, not just hardware. They'd lost control. The fear they hoped to plant had turned to fire. He reached the ridge, took one final scan of the region. Heat signatures, none. EM anomalies, 0. Status, clean. He triggered a beacon, short range, burst mode only. It pinged once, a tight band frequency aimed at the hidden satellite net above. A pickup would arrive in hours. Until then, he sat alone with the wind. He accessed the crystal core one more time, parsing the raw data. Inside the files were schematics for quantum tunneling arrays, power field matrices, stabilization logic grids. But beneath the hard science was a layer of notes, handwritten by the team that died to protect it. Ideas for peaceful applications. Emergency evacuation systems. Medical transport. Deep space exploration. The project wasn't a weapon. It was a door. The assassins came not to destroy soldiers, but dreamers. And Earth had sent him to answer. He closed the file, sealed the core. The scientists had passed the torch. It was his now, until someone else earned it. Vanguard didn't believe in glory. He didn't believe in medals, or ranks, or speeches. He believed in one thing, response. Not vengeance. Not retribution. Response. You hurt humans, humans respond. That message had been etched into the snow and blood and broken machinery. The enemy wouldn't misunderstand it. He reached under his armor, pulled a thin locket from beneath the plating. Inside, a faded image, 3 people in lab coats, smiling, unaware of what the universe had waiting. One of them wore the same name tag as the dead woman who fried the conduit back at the site. He stared at the photo for a long moment. Then he let it fall into the snow, buried it under frost, and stood up. He'd served the mission, carried the memory. Now he'd bury the ghosts. A low thrum cut through the wind. Atmospheric turbulence. Dropship incoming. The black shape descended in slow silence, its running lights dim. It wasn't military. It wasn't official. No markings. No acknowledgement. Just a ramp lowering onto ice. He stepped aboard without a word. No salute. No signature. The ship rose, vanished into the clouds. Behind him, the outpost remained untouched. A grave, yes, but also a seed. Earth would return, not with vengeance, but with resolve. The message had been sent, not just to the silence, to the galaxy. You can erase names, burn data, kill people, but you can't silence humanity. We respond.